Chapter 1. August 2007, London, England. I knew I'd seen him before, but I didn't know where and when until I got back here and ran his name through our computers. Then it all came flooding back. I'm surprised Fraser hadn't known there was a chance I'd come across this chap before. But perhaps his memory is getting as bad as mine. I was forced to stop speaking by the strange scrutinizing stare Hannah gave me, as if it was she and not me asking if I was a fool. No, Hannah, you're right. If I believed that to be true, then I shouldn't be in the position I am. Fraser Ughurt knew exactly what he was doing. The trouble now would be knowing why he wants to play this game. My name is Patrick West. I'm chairman of the United Kingdom's Joint Intelligence Committee, or JIC for short. Everyone with any connection to the security of British interests at home or abroad is answerable to me. Or at least they were, until Fraser Ughurt, my predecessor as chairman of JIC, and now in receipt of a gold-lined index-linked pension that should have paid for something to keep his nose out of the intelligence game, drove down from Cheersley in Buckinghamshire and disturbed the peaceful existence I had with Hannah, my wife of 3 years. I feared that having met with him and his mysterious guest, a Russian named Nikita Kudashov, at Brooks, my club in St. James Street, London, their names would resonate around those ancient walls for some time to come. Now, I was in the throes of explaining the unexplainable to a woman as perceptive as I, and someone more dear to me than anything had ever been. She had converted me from a committed bachelor of almost 55 years into a married man, and, as such, had accompanied me here to the palatial offices and private rooms in the Foreign And Commonwealth building on my appointment at Christmas time in 2002. Now she was known as not only Mrs. West, but as my steward. That was not my choice of description. It was the official civil service name given to the role of the personal assistant to the chairman of the Joint Intelligence Committee. As she listened, she poured 2 large measures of Isle of Jura single malt into the heavy crystal glasses as we sat beside each other facing out onto St. James's Park from the sitting room in our apartment, and I began trying to unravel what had occurred, and was likely to. When hearing updates of my work in the comforts of our home, she sat with her shapely legs tucked under herself and one of her slender arms stretched along the back of the sofa. Her hazel-coloured eyes were fixed on me as she swept a strand of long black hair away from her beautiful shapely face, then laid that face on my shoulder. The time was a little after 1 p.m. Not all of what I discovered in the time I'd had since the lunch at my club could I disclose to my wife, for reasons I will explain as we go through this story of lies and forgotten consequences. But allow me to dissuade you from forming an opinion of me based on that honest disclosure. If you had already done so, then I hope I'm correct in saying you've judged me wrongly. Perhaps you think that withholding information is indicative of me having no trust in my wife or not loving her sufficiently. That is not entirely true. However, if you believe me to be skeptical and hesitant in giving my trust, then you are smack on the button, as they must say somewhere. I have never trusted a single living soul, and as regards the dead, they too are not completely trustworthy. It was 1982 when I first came across him, and neither of our names were as they are today. Back then, his name was Petr Tomsa, and for the duration of the operation for which I was responsible, Control had named me Frank Douglas. The story he's peddling to Fraser Ughurt and me about an NSA surveillance policy code named data mining is an extension of their old Echelon program, managed under what was called the UK-USA Security Agreement, or 5 Years Pact. That alliance of intelligence sharing was supposed to be between America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and ourselves. I was made aware of the program in 1973 when I was offered a job at the Secret Intelligence Service by the late and great Sir Dickie Blythe-Smith, who was then the chairman of the JIC. However, it was not until I replaced him that I became fully aware of some other aspects to the American Echelon program. It was a tiny part of an umbrella initiative code named Frosting, which was established by the NSA as early as 1966 to collect and process data from communications satellites and stations around the world. Frosting had 2 subprograms, Transient for intercepting Soviet satellite transmissions, and Echelon for intercepting Intelsat satellite transmissions.